On today's show,
we discuss what Chris Paul's hand injury means to the Clippers both now and in the future.
in Up Down, no one voted for Luke over Steve, and we'll debate who shrugged it better.
Plus, we'll get you set for tonight's pivotal Game 5s in both Toronto and Atlanta.
It's Tuesday, April 26th. The starter starts now.
Good day, sweet world. Thanks for tuning into the starters. Whether you're listening to the podcast or joining us live on NBA TV or a little bit later on YouTube, we're happy to have you. I'm Jay Skeets, and alongside me, as always, that's Tass Mellis.
Someone will get injured in the making of this show today. That's a guarantee.
Oh boy. To Tass is right, mine as well. International Man of Mystery taking it to the max, Lee Ellis.
Friend.
Lele.
Lee, watch those hamstrings. And last, certainly not least, over there, starters player, Trey Kirby.
Hey-o!
Hey, yo! TK, what do you have for us?
Well, I'm here at the internet looking for your best tweets at #TheStarters. And guys, before last night's Thunder Mavs game, Russell Westbrook got zinged by Mark Cuban as the Dallas owner said he was, quote, an all-star but not a superstar, end quote. But that's not all, as Russell was also stalked by Charlie Villanueva during pre-games as Charlie chose not to interrupt his dance routine but just to follow him from behind. When he was asked about both these events during the post-game news conference, Kevin Durant stepped in for his teammates and took his back.
He's an idiot. Don't listen to he's an idiot. All right, that's what we got to say about that. He's an idiot. Next question.
Barry Trammell with the Oklahoman. Russell, before the game, you were out waiting for the opening tip. Charlie Villanueva came out and sort of lingered behind you for a second. Did you know he was back there, and did he say anything, or what was going through your mind?
He said a lot.
He's
was
an
there.
idiot too.
That's right, it's officially on the record that Kevin Durant thinks both Mark Cuban and Charlie Villanueva are idiots, which brings us to a new game. Kevin Durant Idiot Watch 2016. I'll give you guys the name of an athlete, and you tell me if you think Kevin Durant thinks they're an idiot. These haven't been vetted by Kevin Durant, but I'm a super good judge of character, so I guarantee you that they are accurate. Our first contestant is Devin Harris. Is he an idiot?
Is he
Does
an
Kevin
idiot?
Durant think
Not
he's an
whether
idiot?
we think he's an
No,
idiot.
whether
Does
I think
Durant.
Kevin Durant thinks he's an idiot.
I don't think Devin Harris
Love
has
this
done
game.
anything to provoke
Yeah,
idiotism,
there's-
has he?
no.
I don't know.
Idiot free.
Idiot-free zone.
Devin Harris, not an idiot.
Okay.
Not an
Everybody
idiot.
likes Devin Harris, seems pretty chill. But our next contestant is Justin Anderson. Does Kevin Durant think he's an idiot?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We
Huge.
saw him drop the elbow late last night.
Oh yeah, he's an idiot. You don't drop an elbow on Russell Westbrook without people thinking you're an idiot. And our final contestant is Michael Strahan.
Oh!
Does Kevin Durant think he's an idiot?
Went for the bigger bucks. Maybe left a position, a situation that could have been better.
Kevin Durant might be a Kelly Ripa fan. He might side with Ripa.
KD is sort of in that Strahan situation. Does he leave a good situation for a more prestigious position?
So what are we saying? Yes or no?
I think he thinks he's an idiot.
Yeah, me too.
He's an idiot.
Yeah.
You don't leave Kelly Ripa. That's the best thing to happen to you since Brett Favre took a dive for that record-breaking sack. But that is Kevin Durant Idiot Watch 2016. This is where you come in. Let us know on Twitter. Who else does Kevin Durant think is an idiot and why? Tweet it to us at #TheStarters. We'll check in on him a little bit later.
New nickname for Russell Westbrook, Kelly Ripa. I don't think he'll
Kelly
like it.
Ripa.
I don't think
Not
so.
bad.
I don't think so. All right, we got a whole lot to talk about here on tonight's show. We got the up-down report, and we'll look ahead to tonight's pivotal Game 5s in Toronto and in Atlanta. But first, if you're a superstar point guard, you need to immediately wrap yourself in bubble wrap. One day after Steph Curry sprained the MCL in his right knee, Clippers point guard Chris Paul left Monday night's Game 4 with a fractured third metacarpal in his right hand, a.k.a. he broke his hand. Could be done for the season. To make matters worse, Blake Griffin, he suffered a left quad injury shortly after CP3 didn't play in the final 5 or 6 minutes of that game. Doc Rivers says Blake's 50-50 for Game 5 here. Wow, did things turn quickly. Here's a look at our pre-series predictions for the Clippers-Blazers. We were all with the Clippers. Tass thought it might be a quick one in 5. We all said 6. Look, this obviously changes things now. And the question for you here and everyone watching, of course, can the Clippers win without Chris Paul? Can they beat the Blazers?
I don't think they beat the Blazers.
don't think so?
I don't even think about the substitution for Chris Paul, the backup point guards, Austin Rivers and Jamal Crawford. I think about the guy who is basically their makeshift point guard on the floor, Blake Griffin.
Right.
Because he's not 100%. And if Chris Paul's going to go out and you're going to win 2 of 3 against the Blazers team that's getting better and better as the series goes on, Blake needs to be a superstar. And he hasn't been a superstar this series. He hasn't scored 20 once. He's shooting 38%. I think this injury has to be weighing on his mind because if you remember, while he was out with the hand injury, he had a setback with this leg injury that kept him out for a longer period of time. So now he's hobbling on it right now. Do you expect him to come out and carry a team without Chris Paul and win 2 of 3 games? I highly, highly doubt it.
They went 3-5, the Clippers, without Chris Paul this season, and now they are finding a team like Portland whose confidence is going to be so high after those 2 home wins. And the good thing is Damian Lillard has had one really good game this series. That was Game 3. Game 4, he wasn't spectacular, but they're getting contributions from everyone in Portland. Miles Plumlee's been fantastic for them. Aminu, McCollum, all those guys are starting to contribute. So now you take Chris Paul out of the equation and you feel that Damian Lillard is not going to have a strong defender on him,
right,
and he can really light up now. So it's probably going to be Jamal Crawford who's going to get the assignment on him first. And you know Damian Lillard, he's due to have a big, big game.
I should point out, we are still waiting to find out the exact timeline when it comes to Chris Paul and his injury.
Right.
Most people do think with the broken hand, that third metacarpal there, he's at least going to be out weeks, probably. And we don't even know if it's displaced or if he gets surgery and whatnot. He ain't playing in this series, you'd imagine, especially because it's his right hand.
Yeah.
He's not playing very well, that's for sure.
It's his right hand. But you're right. And what a fluke weird thing. You know, now within 36 hours, 48 hours, whatever it is, we've had, an eventual back-to-back MVP winner in Steph Curry slipping on a wet spot and going down. And now Chris Paul, and we see him here leaving last night in the cast in the sling. He gets his hand caught on the jersey.
Yeah.
I mean, this has nothing to do with, these guys were playing too many minutes in the season, you got to rest them.
Yeah.
I mean, this could happen at any point to anyone because they're such a fluke. But I'm glad you brought up the defense there, Lee. Offensively, though, Chris Paul,
Yeah.
we've seen the Clippers without him, and the numbers back it up. Not to get all nerdy on you, but when he is in there, there's 16 points per 100 possessions better when Chris Paul is playing than when he's off. That's over the season. That's gotten even more extreme in the playoffs, actually. They're even better when Chris Paul is out there. But Ben Golliver, to sum this up nicely with this graph here, the Clippers had the number 2 offense in the league when Chris Paul was on the court. That trailed only the Dubs. They had the number 29th offense when he wasn't playing. Chris Paul is so important. I think you could argue that he's more important to the Clippers' success than even Steph Curry is to the Warriors' success.
But as Lee mentioned, he is the centerpiece of their defense as well. I think they just basically have to outscore the Blazers because Jamal Crawford, I think, will be the guy who will just, light it up on the offensive end, but he's not lighting anything up on the defensive end. He's probably going to get lit up by Damian Lillard. They're not going to score, or they're not going to be able to stop Damian Lillard. And the role players are just getting better as this series goes on. I think you got to hope for, a 120, 110 game, and then Jamal goes off.
Yeah, but you saw Chris Paul at the start of the game last night where no one else was getting anything to drop for the Clippers, and he scored, I think, the first 12 points. And he doesn't need to go out there to look for his own shot, but when other guys aren't scoring, he knows how to score for them.
Okay.
That's a huge blow.
Barring a miracle here, because it's going to be tough without Chris Paul and a hobbled Blake Griffin. Barring a miracle, let's say the Clippers do not get to the conference finals yet again, let alone the finals, with this squad. We've heard from Doc Rivers before the season. He has talked about, look, at some point, if the core doesn't get it together, your DeAndre, your Blake, your Chris Paul, if they can't get it done, then maybe you need to blow it up. It becomes stale. You need to move on. Do you think this could be potentially the last we've seen of the Clippers sort of core, or because of the injury, maybe not so much?
I don't think it's because of the injury. I think Doc Rivers is also in charge of player personnel. And I think he knows that this is probably my best opportunity to win, is to keep these 3 around. So next year, they're all under contract. I see one more run with these guys. Injury or not, it's not going to end all that well, I don't think. And that's just another little motivating factor going into next year.
And the injuries, to me, are kind of a reason why you could say that the Clippers would want to keep these teams together. Yesterday, we were talking about the Clippers being a hair away from being in the conference finals. And from there, that's pretty close to winning an NBA title. If you're a 55-win team, it's just an injury away before you're making a run towards the finals. The Clippers have been there the past 3 seasons. Are they going to be able to stay there? I think they will next year, but it depends on if they want to keep the team together.
Doc isn't a rebuild type of guy either. That's why he left Boston in the first place, because they were starting to rebuild after the Big Three era. I think right now, like you mentioned, all these guys have got at least one more contract year together before they can opt out and all that sort of stuff. I think he's going to say, listen, we just have to find this summer, we have to find better pieces to help complement these players and give it one last shot. You've still got guys pretty much in their prime. Blake and Chris Paul is right there as well. This is when they're going to win. If it's going to happen, they may as well go for it while they're this close.
Yeah, because if they're going to blow up this core, I mean, what would you be moving? You'd have
Yeah.
to move, in theory, you'd be moving one of their big pieces. I would think they would want to keep a healthy Chris Paul, who's older than DeAndre and Blake.
Yeah, he's
so then
31
what?
too.
They're moving one of those guys.
Yeah.
And what are you getting back? You're getting another superstar back to pair with them and to put with Redick and Crawford? Or are you, like you're sort of alluding to there, Lee, would you be getting pieces, younger pieces, picks, looking towards the future?
Yeah.
That's not what Chris Paul wants, I'd imagine, because this guy wants to go to the conference finals. And I don't think it's what Doc wants either.
Go ahead.
Oh, he's been trying to rebuild his depth the last couple of years with mixed success. We saw Lance Stevenson and Josh Smith come in. It didn't work. So he's trying to find those extra pieces. I don't think he needs another superstar. He just needs to find people who will fit into his system while these three stars dominate.
Yeah, Doc signed a very long deal in 2014 to be around this team. He's not going to rebuild it in the middle of that deal. I don't think, unless his hand is forced if one of those guys leaves. But listen, Damian Lillard was right in that State Farm commercial. No good Clipper.
Yeah, you're right.
Nobody is good right now.
It's unbelievable. Again, like about 24 hours, we
Yeah.
went from saying, whoa, the Clips, they might have an opening there with the Steph Curry injury walking through the conference finals, and now suddenly this Chris Paul news out with the fractured hand. Crazy, crazy time in the NBA playoffs. Got to take a break. When we come back, the Up-Down Report will weigh in on Byron Scott's firing and Steve Kerr taking home Coach of the Year honors. Don't go anywhere. Back at the starters, we asked you, who else does Kevin Durant think is an idiot and why? And to let us know on Twitter, #TheStarters. We know he thinks Cuban and Villanueva are idiots in the news conference last night. Trey, some of the best answers.
Yeah, Dan Delagrange says, definitely those two schmoes he clowns on in those Sonic ads. They're losing food to a guy who gets it for free anyways.
I love those guys.
Never thought of it that way. Those guys are eating off that Sonic money, though. That's
Yeah.
been there for like 40 years, I feel like. Ezekiel says, Kevin Durant thinks Kevin Durant is an idiot for wearing these shoes.
Ouch.
Those are the future. And Kevin says, Kevin Durant thinks you guys are idiots for having this idiot watch. He's right, we're idiots.
I was waiting for that
Fine.
one. That one was too easy. We
Yeah,
just lobbed
yeah.
it up there, knock it out of the park. All right, let's get to the Up-Down Report where we figure out where the four of us stand / really sit here at the table on some recent NBA topics. And our first one, guys, the NBA announced today that Steve Kerr, whose Golden State Warriors won an NBA record 73 games this season, is your 2015-16 Coach of the Year. Kerr becomes the Warriors' first winner since Don Nelson in the 91-92 season. Kerr received 64 first-place votes and 381 total points from the panel of sports writers and broadcasters who vote on these bad boys. Blazers coach Terry Stotts right there, close second, 37 first-place votes, 335 total points. Three-time winner Greg Popovich, a distant third. All right, thumbs up or thumbs down, we got them here, on Steve Kerr winning Coach of the Year.
Huge thumbs up.
I'm up on the Warriors winning Coach of
Well,
the Year.
that's not coaching staff of the year, Lee.
Yeah,
It's Coach of the Year.
look,
It's
they
a little
had-
surprising.
Yeah, 73-9 though. I think you have to reward the franchise. For
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
I mean, Luke Walton did a fantastic job, even though he was the interim under Steve's guidance, and then Steve came and sealed the deal.
Steve Kerr is the head coach. He deserves recognition for the best season in basketball history.
Even though he was not there for half the season?
Yes.
He was there spiritually.
Well, hold
Yeah.
on. We hold that over guys in the other awards. Defensive Player of the Year, MVP, whatever it is, we say, well, he's missed 25% of his games. He missed 50% of the games, whatever it is. We hold that over them.
Steve Kerr established the foundation that this team won 67 games and a championship with. And then he went away, and another man sort of guided the team, was the guiding light while Steve was there, behind the scenes, talking to him, talking to this entire team. I do find it odd that not one person voted for Luke Walton.
First place vote.
First
yeah.
Yes,
place vote,
64 first place votes for Steve, but not one for Luke Walton when he had a better record. Not that I think Luke
Coached more
deserved-
games too.
Yeah, he had a better record. I find it odd. I just find it a little peculiar.
He never got really credit for any of those
Yeah.
wins part of the NBA. So it's a little, I just think Terry Stotts did a great job, but you're right. Steve
It
Kerr.
was a good year for coaches, actually. There were a lot of good candidates.
Absolutely, and coming right up, right after us, very soon after us, 4:30 there on NBA TV. It is the Coach of the Year news conference. Steve Kerr will be getting that award Will Luke Walton start the news conference?
Maybe.
Do the first, I don't know, 52% of it, and then hand it over to Steve? I guess you'll have to find out here on the network.
Steve liked that joke.
Did he? Okay, good stuff.
Yeah, I
All
love
right.
jokes.
In other coaching news, Sunday night, the Lakers fired head coach Byron Scott. Scott coached LA to the 2 worst seasons in franchise history, compiled a 38 and 126 record in the process. He struggled to connect with some of his younger players. He had the whole Kobe cloud hanging over his season, but he's gone. But I don't want to ask you about whether or not you're up or down on him actually being fired. What about the timing? Are you up or down on the timing of Byron Scott being fired, coming 10, 11 days after the end of the season, and when some other coaches had been already hired?
I'll drop it.
Yeah, I'm dropping it too.
I'm hitting you with the Lee Ellis sideways thumb because, yeah, they missed out on Tom Thibodeau, Scotty Brooks,
Yeah.
guys who theoretically would consider the Lakers, maybe are able to recruit some veterans, but they still have a chance at Luke Walton, who I think is the guy they really want to go after. And if they get Luke Walton, who cares if they missed out on the other guys, because that would be a thumbs up. If they don't get Luke Walton, then it's a thumbs down, so in the middle. That's how it has got to be.
I think they were genuinely torn because I know that Byron didn't necessarily connect with the younger players, but he is a Lakers legend and they wanted to show him a little bit of respect. And look, Thibodeau and
They
Brooks,
showed him respect by keeping him for 10 or 11
well,
days.
they just didn't want to can him out the door as soon as Kobe left. I mean, they sort of snuck it under the carpet there a little bit. But look, there are other coaches available, and there's certainly not going to be a shortage of guys who want to come here and want to
That's
coach
true.
his team. The interesting thing is, Jeannie Buss didn't even know they were going to fire him, which we saw today on Twitter. So that is a little bit strange. So I'm not sure who actually had the final say.
Yeah, I'm very down on the timing. Yes, there are a lot of great coaching prospects out there. They're going to find somebody good. But what did they learn in the last 11 days after the season that prevented them from firing him? The Sacramento Kings did it. They fired George Karl right away. Season was over. If the Kings can do it, then you can too. It just doesn't make sense. You knew what Byron Scott was prior to this. It doesn't really make sense to me.
Maybe what they learned was seeing all these other franchises pick up some of these good head coaches, and they said, oh man, we better get going here.
Those guys sound
Better
good.
guy. Yeah, we could have had one of those guys possibly. All right, our final one here. Jeremy Lin last night scored 21 points off the bench in the Hornets' 89-85 win over the Heat. But more importantly, he broke out the Michael Jordan shrug from 92 after banking home a 3 early in the fourth quarter. Guys, are you up or down on Jeremy Lin's MJ shrug?
Up. Wow.
What?
I know, I can't believe I'm up either. This was a seminal moment in Bulls fandom as a child, but to see Jeremy Lin do it, he actually banked in a 3 and didn't act like he meant to bank it in, which is what the general move that guys do when
Yeah,
they bank
that's
in
true.
threes. And honestly, Michael Jordan seems like he would be okay with it.
Yeah.
He told Draymond Green and them that he wanted the Warriors to break the Bulls record. So if a guy is shrugging on MJ's team, I feel like it's okay.
Oh, man.
I think if you get caught up in the emotion of it, just do it. I'd do it, definitely. If Michael Jordan was my
Why not?
owner. Yeah, exactly.
He banked home a 3. He didn't hit 6 in the first half. A little different to me. Gotta take a break. When we come back, I'll look ahead at tonight's games. Back with the starters, a look at tonight's TNT doubleheader. It's the Pacers and Raptors, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern. What's going on here? Enjoy your dinner while you watch that one. Followed by the Celtics and the Hawks. Kaka at 8:30. Yeah, the 2 East Coast games tonight. Big, pivotal Game 5s, both those series tied at 2. Let's start with the Pacers and Raptors, though. Tass, I'll ask you, what is the biggest key to the Raptors winning Game 5 tonight?
Act like you want it. I think they just have to walk into that arena and play hard basketball. I just don't want to bring it back to sports cliches, but that's what's happened in this series.
Yep.
They've sort of just fallen back and relaxed in the losses, and in the wins, they've played their butts off. They've got charges, drawn those charges. They've got offensive rebounds where they scrambled for those 50-50 balls. And on the offensive end, they move the basketball oh so beautifully. And that's what wins basketball games. I think they just have to bring the fight. And the turnovers are a cause of guys trying to force it a little bit. And the turnovers, very bad in the losses, very good in the wins. Averaging 12 in the wins and 19.5 in the losses. When you force it and don't play team basketball, those turnovers happen. When you don't fight, everything bad happens. They just weren't ready. They just didn't feel it. And listen, this is an inconsistent basketball club. It happens. If they were inconsistent all year, they would have been the number 1 seed in the East. That being said, I think after a loss, they've shown that they are pretty good, and I think they win tonight.
It's impossible to tell who is in control of this series because both teams have looked really good and then also really bad. But obviously, DeMar DeRozan, he has to play at least one decent game for the Raptors. I think he has a good game. I think the Raptors win.
I would stop banking on the idea that DeMar DeRozan is going to be able to shake free of Paul George. I actually look at the other All-Star. I think Kyle Lowry has to have a massive game for the Raptors
really?
tonight. He needs to leave his mark on this series because sort of lost in how poorly DeMar DeRozan has shot the ball, Kyle Lowry's right there with him.
They won in
And
Game
Kyle
3 where
Lowry-
he was bad.
That's
and DeMar
true.
was 0 for 0 from the free
Kyle
throw
Lowry
line.
does not have Paul George, an all-world defender on him like DeRozan. I'm not making excuses for DeRozan because he has been bad and he has been attacking. Kyle Lowry can be a better basketball player than George Hill or Ty Lawson or whoever's on him. He needs to have a massive game. He does. He's the leader of the team, and he needs to do it in the effort category as well. But he needs to put up some points here. He's got to start hitting some shots.
I just think this team is so good. We mentioned all these guys. This team is good enough to get by with a decent effort or a decent performance, anyways, from those guys because they're just so well-rounded. They've got the best big in this series in Jonas Valanciunas.
They
got the
did it in
all-star
Game 4.
backcourt.
Jan Mahimi outplayed Jonas Valanciunas in Game 4.
Valanciunas didn't get the ball enough. They didn't go to him enough.
They didn't go to enough. It's going to be different, I think, in Toronto's barn. The role players of Indiana played out of their heads.
Hawks Celtics, another tough series to sort of wrap your heads around. Celtics take 2 in their barn. The Hawks took the first 2. Who wins this game tonight?
The Celtics will win if they score 100 points because I didn't think they had
that's
enough
the mark.
offense to win in games 3 and 4 when Avery Bradley went down and Olynyk was out as well. And they scored 100 in both games. They scored 100 in 3 games, won 2 of them. The other one they lost by a point in the opener. So the Boston Celtics have really figured out a way. I think Brad Stevens has actually outsmarted Budenholzer a lot in this series. And I think the insertion of Evan Turner and Jonas Jerebko into the starting lineup really gave the Boston Celtics a big, big boost. And I think those guys have gained confidence. They're going to go out there tonight against a very, very good defensive team in the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks have to find that way of getting back to that defense that we know they were like, especially in Game 2. Celtics have been very, very good in 3 and 4.
They got the boost, but the Hawks got out to that huge start. And if that happens in Atlanta, I don't see how the Celtics could come back.
They did it both times,
that's the
though, in
thing.
Atlanta. The Hawks had big leads and let the Celtics get back in
They
all
nearly
those
blew it in
games.
Game 1. And Game 2 was the only one where Boston
They
were
held on.
really awful offensively. Other than that, they've been pretty good.
I am interested to see how the Hawks counter Brad Stevens' sort of decision to go a little bit smaller with that sort of hectic defense. Marcus Smart, Jonas Jerebko obviously getting a lot more minutes. How does he counter that? And does he even have a move to play? Or do they just got to play better basketball?
Yeah, the Hawks have to take advantage of Jonas Jerebko
I
at
know.
center. They just have to
Yeah,
play
but he's
bigger.
been good. He's been good, knocked
been
down
good.
threes.
He's been
And
good.
that's what Brad Stevens has done, is moved him out to make him effective on offense.
We'll see 2 huge Game 5s in Toronto and Atlanta. Can't wait for that. It's not going to be long. 6 p.m. Eastern start. First game of TNT doubleheader, Pacers and Raps. Got to take one more break, but when we come back, Lily's very solid play. Welcome back to the starters. It's time for Lily's very solid play. Lee, where are we going?
We're going to the Rosie Motor Center in Portland for a laser from Mason Plumlee to Alan Crabb. Watch this nice little finish there. You got to feed the crab and he will score. Here it is again. Look at that for a pass. Nice little gentle pump fake party. That's what I call a very solid play.
Do you like crab, Lee?
I love crab.
I thought you did.
Absolutely. Favorite of all the seafoods.
Favorite of all the seafoods. You
Your
already
face, scallops.
know. Tonight's TNT
I don't
doubleheader.
mind scallops actually as well.
Pacers, Raptors. You can enjoy some scallops while you watch that one. Gets underway at 6 p.m. Eastern. That series tied at 2-2, followed by the Celtics and the Hawks.
Favorite is Detlef Shrimp.
Enjoy the games. We're back tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern.
Is it scallops or scallops?
Depends where you're from. I say scallops.
Yeah, I say scallops as well. I say pasta, though.
Good.
That's weird.
Scallop pasta.
Scallop. Oh, that sounds delicious. Thanks for joining us, folks. And remember, content, it's everywhere.
Race the night, people.